Welcome to Reparenting Radio. I'm Lisa Watson, architect of human transformation. This is a space for leaders, parents, and anyone ready to break old patterns, regulate their nervous system, and show up in their life with clarity and self-trust. If you're ready to change the way you lead, love, and live, you're in the right place. Let's begin. What we're going to talk about today is inner child healing. Because maybe you think that you've already done inner child healing, but have you? Or maybe you've never heard of it. I don't know. If you've been listening to this podcast, you've definitely heard about inner child healing, but maybe this is your first episode. So I want to say to you directly, because I cannot tell you how many conversations that I have had where someone says, oh yeah, I've done my inner child work. And then in the next breath, their words, their tone, their perspective on their life or certain experiences screams, I'm still dysregulated. I'm still getting triggered. I still feel unseen in certain situations. I still feel abandoned at times. I still feel like things are just not fair. And I still feel powerless in these situations. And this isn't because we haven't necessarily tried to heal or even tried to do inner child healing, but it's because our nervous system is still reacting as if something unresolved is happening right now. And when the same patterns keep repeating themselves, when the same emotional spikes keep showing up, and the same themes are running through your relationships, different relationships, same theme, different jobs, same types of situations, different seasons. When that happens, that tells me something. It tells me that the work that you're doing, if you have been doing this work, just hasn't integrated yet. And there's no shame in that, obviously, but that is simply information just like everything else. Everything is information because understanding the concept of inner child healing is not the same thing as integrating your inner child. Just like being aware of your ego is not the same as integrating your ego. Reading about it isn't integration. Talking about it isn't integration. Even having awareness that it exists or how your ego or your inner child behaves isn't integration. Knowing your childhood wounds intellectually is also not integration. Real integration, and I'm talking inner child healing here, inner child integration shows up in your nervous system. You stop becoming emotionally hijacked when you have fully integrated your inner child. Your reactions shrink. Your body will stabilize faster. Your boundaries get much, much clearer. And you don't spiral for days over a tone shift in someone's voice. Because if that isn't happening yet, there's still a younger part of you, a younger perception of your reality that is still running the system. So today, I want to explain what inner child healing actually is, because it's really not what most people believe. Some people think that they've done their inner child healing, clients that I work with, and other people admit, they've never tried it. They have no idea what that sounds or looks like. First of all, there's no separate tiny version of you floating around inside your psyche. When I say inner child, I'm not talking about necessarily a separate being, although I do think it's very helpful to imagine that. It really works for me to imagine my inner child just sitting with me putting my arm around her. It's very helpful. But what the reality is the inner child is a stored perception. When you were 2 or 3 or 4 or 8 or 16, 17 years old, your brain was not fully developed. The prefrontal cortex, the part that is responsible for reasoning, contextualizing, regulating impulses, it was not fully online. The brain isn't fully formed until you're 25 to 29 years old. You didn't analyze what was being said to you. You didn't think, oh, my parent must be stressed from work and that's why I'm getting this time out. You didn't think, oh, this teacher is projecting their own insecurity on me. Instead, you're thinking, it's me. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm not safe. I have to be better. I need to change. I need to stay small, or I have to fix this. Those interpretations became emotional imprints. And your subconscious mind stored them, not as memories alone, but as through the layers of the body that I talk about often on this podcast, the mental, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual layers of our being. So we're storing them not as memories alone, but as body responses, as nervous system patterns, as default beliefs and thought patterns. The subconscious mind does not track time the way that our adult brain does. It tracks similarity. So when something happens today that feels similar to something that happened when you were 7, your system isn't saying, oh, that was 1993, we're good. It says, this is happening again, and you react. But of course, this is all happening on the subconscious level. We don't have conscious awareness of these thoughts even until we've really practiced tuning in and listening to all layers of our body and what they're telling us. That reaction that we have, this is happening again, that reaction is what people call being triggered. But it's really just old perception thinking that it's live again. And the part that's hard to hear at first is if you keep experiencing the same emotional theme in your jobs and in your relationships, in your outer reality, anywhere, it's not random. Different partner, same feeling. Different boss, same feeling. Different friend group, same feeling. I'm invisible. I'm doing everything. I'm not chosen. No one shows up for me. This isn't fair. It can feel like bad luck, but it's really an unresolved charge. The nervous system is seeking completion. If a moment in childhood felt overwhelming, unfair, abandoning, shaming, or powerless, and you didn't have the capacity to process it at the time, your system's going to store it as incomplete. So it keeps scanning for opportunities to resolve it. And if you're still perceiving present moments through that younger lens, you keep reacting instead of resolving. When your partner doesn't respond quickly, it's not about the text. It's about the 8-year-old who felt forgotten. When someone else gets promoted, it's not about ambition. It's about the 10-year-old who thought love was conditional. And when someone sets a boundary with you, it's not about the boundary. It's about the 5-year-old who interpreted distance as abandonment. Until you update the perception of your inner child, which is your subconscious mind, you keep reacting as if you're still there back in 1993 or whatever year it may have been. But I want to simplify it. The subconscious mind is what I call the inner child. It's part of you that learned through emotion, through repetition, through experience before logic existed. You didn't have the logic. You didn't have the prefrontal cortex fully developed, that part of it yet when we're younger. So you form conclusions without full context. And those conclusions that you formed, they're still active. So when you say, I've done inner child healing, but you're still spiraling for hours or days from a tone shift in your partner, you're still collapsing into shame. You're still becoming defensive. You're still reacting with anger and irritation. Even out on the road with other drivers, you'll especially see it there. If you're still feeling small in certain situations with certain people, or you're still unable to say no without feeling guilty, that tells me something. The younger perception hasn't been integrated yet, because real inner child healing doesn't make you softer, more complacent. It makes you sovereign. When you bring your adult self into those moments consciously and intentionally, you're stepping into a previous version of reality that is still active in your system. And this is not fantasy. It's neurobiology and perception plus conscious interacting. And the bridge between the two perspectives is this. We're not traveling through physical space-time, because time isn't even linear. It's stacked. It's all happening at the same time. But we're traveling through stored emotional timelines. When the brain reactivates a memory, it becomes temporary malleable. And this is called reconsolidation, which means the memory is not a static file. It's a live document. That is why awareness is the absolute number one step in any healing, because the awareness reactivates the memory. It activates the timeline. And now we're able to go into that living document and rewrite it. And when you re-enter it with new context, new authority, new regulation, a new perception, you're not just remembering, you're rewriting. This isn't talk therapy. It's basically time travel. We're not time traveling necessarily, but we are accessing a timeline that is still running in the present, because the 6-year-old isn't back there. The 6-year-old is encoded right here in the body, in the emotional layer, in the mental layer, in the physical layer, in the beliefs, in the relational reflexes. So when you say, I'm here now, to your inner child, we have options. We can leave. We can say no. You are collapsing timelines. You're updating the operating system. You're informing your nervous system that the conditions have changed. And that's why the charge is able to drop. Not because you deleted the past, not because you denied it, not because you layered it in some sort of toxic positivity, but because the body received new data. And the body believes lived experience over philosophy every time. It's not sci-fi time travel. It's conscious timeline integration. And that is really, really powerful. We're not escaping the past. We're not making excuses for the past. Instead, we're revisiting a timeline that is still running us, and we're rewriting the code. Triggers are the evidence to your healing. Triggers are not enemies. They are actually gold mines. They are evidence, and they show up exactly where a younger perception is still believing something unresolved is happening. If someone's tone shifts and you feel your stomach drop or your chest tighten, that's not random. If someone criticizes you and you feel disproportionately shamed, that's not random. And if someone pulls back and you feel abandoned, that's not random either. It's stored perception saying, this feels familiar. And instead of reacting outward, this is where leadership can be restored. You can pause and you can say, how old do I feel right now? And when the answer comes, maybe 7, 12, 14, you're not going to shame that part of you. You're going to get curious and nurturing. And you're going to say something to yourself like, to your inner child, hey, we're not here anymore. We're not back there anymore where we didn't have choices. We have choices now. And our no gets to be a complete sentence. We're grown up now. I pay the bills. I make the choices. I decide, not mom and dad anymore. We're not back there. I've got you. You're safe with me. We don't have to earn love because I love you. We don't have to fight to be seen because I see you. We can walk away and we're safe. And then the body begins to settle. The nervous system begins to settle because it finally feels seen and heard and validated, and the program is being updated. The real benefit of inner child healing is not emotional storytelling, it's nervous system stability. It's when you stop trying to resolve childhood dynamics in adult relationships. When someone disappoints you and you feel it, but you don't spiral for days. It's when you recognize jealousy without collapsing into comparison. It's when you can say no without over-explaining. It's when you can sit in a room and not shrink. It's when you stop interpreting every present moment as a reenactment of something unfair. You are not that child anymore, but that child is still you. And when you integrate those timelines, you stop recreating the loops from that timeline. So if you're someone who has ever said, I've done the inner child healing, but you're still getting hijacked, that's not failure. That's feedback. It just means there are still perceptions that need updating. You're not stuck on that timeline. You're the leader now. You're sovereign. You're a grown-ass adult, and you have choices, you have language, you have the ability to set boundaries, and stop abandoning those younger parts of you. Inner child healing's not about staying in the past. It's about reclaiming the present. And when that integration happens, the loops will stop, the triggers will soften, the fairness battles will fade, your power will return. You'll stop reacting, you'll start responding. You'll lead. And that is the real benefit to inner child healing. I hope this episode resonated with you. And if it did, please share it with someone who you think will benefit from it. Maybe they've never heard of inner child healing, or maybe they think they've done it, but they're still reacting from the past. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Reparenting Radio. If today's conversation supported you, take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who knows they were made for more than the patterns that they inherited. If you're ready for serious inner work and real transformation, personally or professionally, you can explore my leadership pathways at lisa-watson.com. And if you're raising little ones alongside your own healing, you'll find my children's books at awakentheone.org. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep reparenting the parts of you that are ready to come home to their authenticity.